Yet when you go to the Quran and to the Sunnah, you will find that water is divided only into two types. Either it's pure or impure. Either it is tahur or najis. So can we define these types so that we can have a greater ability to understand, and hence to be able to analyze, so that you don't ask me questions in the future? Sure. Water is a name given to a liquid that is usually tasteless, has no smell, and it's colorless. It is found in so many places. Generally speaking, it comes in the form of rain. It is found in rivers, lakes, oceans, seas, springs, and it's all identified as water, whether you can drink from it or you cannot. It's called water. This substance is permissible for us to use. It is the only source of substances to use when we are in need of ritual purity, whether through wudu or through ghusl. Now, the jurors accepted and agreed upon the first definition or division, tahur. Then they go to the opposite, which is water that has impurity in it, but the impurity would not impact the purity of the water unless one of the three characteristics has been changed by an impurity. So let us assume there's a big lake or a big swimming pool, and a child goes in, urinates, and comes out. Would we render the whole water as impure? The question is no. Why? Because the amount of impurity in this vast amount of pure water is clean, is pure. You cannot say that it is najis. You cannot see any change of any of its three characteristics. And this is the taste, the smell, and the color. These are the three characteristics that scholars say if one of them change with an impurity, the water is considered to be najis. And scholars differed whether the amount of water is crucial or not. So some scholars say that if the amount of water is less than 2 jugs, and they differed tremendously in determining the sizes of the jugs or qullah, and they said that if it is less than 2 jugs from Hajar, which is Al-Ahsa, or it's a village close to Medina, in this case, even if a drop of najasa falls into it, it renders it impure, whether any of the characteristics had changed or not. Others say, and this is the most authentic opinion, regardless whether the water is a lot or little, if an impurity fell in, but it did not change any of the characteristics of the water with impurity, in this case it's considered to be pure. So if a single drop falls in a gallon of water, a single drop of urine, and it does not show, it does not smell, it definitely does not taste, then the water is considered to be pure. Though I've seen the drop of water fall into it, because this is what the jurors usually say. So this is tahur and this is najis. There is a third category that the scholars say it's called tahir. Okay, what does tahir mean? In Arabic, it means pure. It's opposite of najis. So, what is the meaning of tuhur? Tuhur is also pure, the opposite of najis. So, what's the distinction? The jurors came up with a definition of their own. So, they said tuhur or tahur. Tahur is referring to the water itself that we use in wudu. Tuhur is the actual action of wudu. But this is something linguistics. Those who do not know Arabic may not benefit from it that much. So, when you classify this water as tahur, O jurors, what do you mean? They say, it means that this water is pure in itself and it can uplift impurity for others. It can uplift the ritual impurity. Interesting. Okay, then what is tahir? They said tahir, it is pure in itself, but it does not have the ability to uplift a ritual impurity. Okay, interesting. Can you give example? Well, they said normal water is tahur. It's pure and it can purify me. But let's say tea or water that has a pure substance in it that changed its characteristics, as in the case of juice, for example. 95% of the juice is water, 5% is other materials. So this is now tahir. If I spill it on my clothes I can pray with, but I cannot perform wudu with. And this is wrong. This classification is wrong. Because as mentioned in the last class, if we have a great amount of water and we put a tea bag in it, this amount of water changes from water into tea. So it's a different substance, has a different name. But as long as the name remains, like in the case of making dough in a vessel, after taking the dough out, there is some flour in it. I put water into it. The water mixes with the flour and gives me a hazy like water. But at the end of the day, if someone says, what's in the vessel? Anyone would say, water, not tea, not Coke. It's water. This is tahur and tahir at the same time. I can perform wudu with it. But if it's a different substance, if it's something that was changed and altered from being water into another substance, then this is tahir, yes, but you cannot say that it is water. It's not water anymore, it is another substance. So I hope this makes sense to you. The jurors say water is divided into three types: tahur, tahir, and najis. The most authentic opinion of scholars is that water is either tahur or najis. Either you can use it or it is impure to be used. The third substance is not considered to be water. And this is why the Prophet ﷺ, as in the hadith of Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him and his father, when he was asked about performing wudu from the sea. We travel at sea and we have little water to drink. Seawater is undrinkable. So what should we do? Use the drinking water and run out of drinking water? The Prophet said, "Huwa at-tahuru ma'uhu al-hillu maytatuhu." The water of the sea is pure, and the dead fish in that sea is also halal for you to eat, which indicates that even if the water is undrinkable due to the salt in it, it remains to be called water, and this is not another substance.